Does it really work? Can creative problem solving really work in your organization? Let's hear from the people who've been there. Janet DeClaudio is Director of Medical Records at Savannah, Georgia's Candler Hospital.
I would say today, creative problem solving and the TQM and all the things we're doing are much more important than years ago because we really do not know what's going to happen to us in the future. We make the rules that they are to evaluate nothing. Don't worry about money, don't worry about anything, that's my job. You make the suggestions and we'll see if I have the money. And if I don't have the money, we can't do it, I'll let you know. We let them decide what problems they're having that they'd like to get fixed. Okay? That's number one. The second thing we did was encourage them to select something that we could put a quick fix to so that they would see immediate success and want to do it again.
How do we empower employees to continuously improve the process they use to get the job done and increase quality? Here's Nathan Bliss, United Auto Workers Education and Problem-Solving Training Coordinator at General Motors Saginaw Division Forge Plant.
What we have established here at our plant is that people take ownership in their product line. When you went through the plant, you saw there was 2 or 3 men to a process. That's their line. They are now the owners. If there's a problem / opportunity, they want to address it. Folks need and want to be more than just a cyborg where the body does the work and the head is turned off. We've had tremendous amount of fun in the creative problem solving. One of the concerns was we were having metal sticking in the die, so the operators took a big swab of grease and put it in there. Well, it turns out the grease was holding scale, and that, after several parts, broke the die. So when my partner Austin and I did through some ALU out of that, they came up with an alternative. Well, why don't we just have a can of PAM there as a suggestion? And the guys laughed and said, well, maybe PAM will work or won't work, but we know that some number 10 soap and a number Penfield 108 mixed together will give it. So we got a $1 spray bottle. The operators spray on the die themselves with this thing for the first 20 or 30 parts, blows the scale out, lubricates the die, and we haven't had any sticking problems since, and we haven't had any broken dies. Dies cost anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a pop.
So you want to make some change in your organization, but you might be concerned about facing some cynicism or resistance in the people that work for you. Here's some advice from people in organizations that have successfully implemented these methods.
Well, I think probably the most important thing is if they're serious about getting their workforce involved, getting that creativity into their processes, focusing on constant improvement, that they need to stick with it. It's a new skill. It's difficult for people to just change and start operating in a different way. Support systems are geared to the old organization. And when you introduce something that different, some members of the organization hold back. They don't get involved for whatever reason. After a year, year and a half, management looks at the program and says, well, look, we're only getting minimal outcomes. Let's go on to something else. Let's change to another program. And really, in fact, what we've done at that point, we've trained our workforce not to get involved, not to participate. Because if they don't participate, if they don't get involved, the program goes away because it fails. So I guess the biggest thing that I would advise is that if you're serious about some type of organizational change, and if you really think it makes sense for your organization, you need to stick with it and follow it through.
How does creative problem solving work in organizations with unionized labor?
If the unions are permitted buy-in and have an active role to play, it's sort of athletic in nature. For people who have played tennis or racquetball or golfing, and you always have a buddy that you go with, there are days when you're about not to go and your buddy calls you up and says, hey, let's go hit 9. So you go along and you're always happy that you did that. It's a symbiotic relationship. There are times when the union wants to do something and management says, well, I really don't want it, but for the sake of the relationship, for the sake of the environment, they go along in a supportive nature, not as a direct one. And there are times when management really gets excited about stuff. Hey, let's do this, and the union says, well, Okay, if that's really what you want, we'll support you. So what it does is when you have this different initiative starting up and each one is in a supporting mode, you have an opportunity to do a lot more because the environment is set for action.
Upper management faces its own special obligations if the process is to work.
Train the top managers first. It's important that they're trained in the skills so they can then teach their subordinates and also coach the application of those skills. But as a supervisor, as a manager, it's important that you walk the talk and you model. If creativity is important to you, you have to be creative. You have to struggle with the crazy ideas and show people that it's okay, that you may not have the best idea and how you deal with it, because they'll watch your lead. And whatever your lead is, they'll follow it.
Practice makes perfect, and practice takes patience. Nowhere is that truer than in creative problem solving. The methods must be practiced and patiently applied. Austin Scotcha, Associate Administrator for Personnel and Safety at the General Motors Saginaw Division Forge plant, has this to say.
You need the commitment of both sides, either union management or management, and if you don't have a union, the other side, you may want to say. And you got to have the support, the commitment, and the working together. And then the patience. It's not a process which we're going to do a creative problem-solving process with the components, and then within 2 weeks we're going to be seeing the payback. It could take weeks, it could take months, and sometimes it can take years because it takes a lot of practice. You have to practice brainstorming, you have to practice the components, you have to practice every part of the creative problem-solving process. Once you don't practice it, you're going to lose it. So you got to continue that. And you got to make people stimulated, and you got to give people the atmosphere of it's fun to do. And once it's fun to do, they'll continue to do it.
Niagara Falls, nature at her most magnificent, her most powerful. 3,000 tons of water rockets over these cataracts every second. We're here to make a final point. That point is simply commitment. Without commitment, everything you have learned today will be in vain. Until there is commitment, there is hesitancy, ineffectiveness, the chance to draw back. With all acts of creation, once you definitely commit yourself, providence moves too. An entire river of events, people, and material assistance, help that no one could have dreamed of, surge to your cause. We began our journey with rock climbers. A famous climber once compared his life to a well-thrown knife. Your life is the knife. Be absolutely honest with yourself. Choose your target. Then throw your knife as hard and as accurately as you can. Throw it with direction, commitment, and courage. When you use the power of your creativity, when you are committed, and when you focus your energy like a well-thrown knife, when you do those things and apply the methods that we have learned today, you will unleash the power of creativity. You will unleash a force even more powerful than Niagara Falls.